Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome everyone to the encore presentation of Homebase, a better pre-arrival system for international students and scholars. So happy you could join us, and this is an amazing, user-friendly, smooth platform, very soothing, I feel like, because it's very user-friendly, and it really can elevate your student and scholars orientation experience and allow you to get your information out there in a seamless, quick way. You know, it's not like diving into a rabbit hole and having to know about a code. So you can really wow and impress and elevate your game. I'm Jody Barnhill, CEO of International Office Consulting, and backed by popular demand, we have Moroni Flake, Tracy Tanner of English 3, and Stephen Smith of University of Utah. And so they'll be presenting Homebase. And again, this is, at this point, it is a free software platform and very user-friendly. I'll go ahead and let Stephen, Moroni, and Tracy introduce themselves.
All right, so yeah, I'm Moroni Flake. I've been working in international education for a little over a decade now. Most of that time with English 3, and I'll just leave it at that. Go ahead, Stephen, and then Tracy.
Hi, my name is Stephen Smith. I'm the responsible officer and associate director at the University of Utah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tracy Tanner. I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah. I've been working for Moroni for about 4 years and with Stephen for about 3 years on English 3 products. Good to be here.
And we want to have it kind of be an open conversation. So if at any point you have questions, just throw them in the chat or feel free to jump in. Tracy will be monitoring the chat, and he has no problems interrupting me, so that'll work out just great. I also thank you to Jody again for putting on the IISS conference. We really enjoy our partnership with Jody. Just a quick funny story. So we met Jody, Tracy and I met Jody in 2019 at a Synapsis conference in Tucson at a cocktail
Rooftop
opening
party.
ceremony. What's that?
A rooftop party.
That's right. And Tracy and I don't drink, so we were offering our tickets to somebody, and Jody piped up, and she was really excited, and she had been collecting some tickets. She had maybe 6 or 8 at the time, and Tracy and I are thinking, who is this lady? and Jody is thinking that, man, she had a real good shot to win the raffle, because she was thinking they were raffle tickets. Anyway, just a kind of a funny story for Jody. Okay, so jumping into Homebase, we'll jump quickly into the platform just so we just show what it looks like. But I just want to give a real quick overview. Homebase comes from the idea that every student or scholar could benefit from a better experience pre-arrival and orientation. And it wouldn't just help with their transition, but it would mitigate or eliminate many of the issues that they struggle with throughout their experience at the university. And so, so what are the objectives of Homebase? Number one, it's to help them feel integrated with the campus community long before they arrive. So there's a lot of interactive features, both interacting with peer mentors, other students, or just advisors within the office. We want to provide the right information at the right time in just the right amount. We don't want to overload them with, here's a 20-page packet that we don't know whether or not you'll ever look at. And then we want to decrease the advising load while improving the advising experience. And then give a great first impression of the campus community, increase yield or reduce summer melt, and then improve first year retention. And before we go any further, Karen, could you put out the poll? We're going to start with 2 quick poll questions. And so she's going to start those. And once we finish the first one, then we'll move into the second one. How do we make the polls go live? Anyone know? Jody, do you know? Oh, perfect. All right, so those are up and we'll leave it up for maybe 30 seconds and give some time for people to answer. But what do you currently do for pre-arrival support and orientation? And feel free to provide more information in the chat. So if you use a platform, I'd love to learn more about what platform you're using and how you're using that.
Yes, good point. 3 and 4 are the same, so we'll
They are
combine those. Yes.
4 was meant to be other. Virtual. Deborah says they do virtual sessions and provide resources by email. Christine says Canvas. Sheena says a homegrown app through Glide Apps. I've never heard of that one. I've also often heard of eForms, working through eForms within Synapses. Okay.
Comavo.
What's that?
There's some more in the chat. Tanya, Wichita, they use Comavo, C-O-M-E, Comvo. I'm not sure how to say that. And Edpuzzle and campus groups. Oh my gosh, everyone's using all kinds of different tools.
So many things I've never heard of. Okay, so Jessica says, paper welcome packet with the I-20 plus a pre-arrival immigration video on Edpuzzle. My wife uses Edpuzzle for her classes. We are using an orientation app through campus groups. Okay, let's go to the next question. I don't know how or do we answer both of the questions? Sorry, I'm not super familiar with polling.
No worries, Karen's got you. Oh, paper-based is the highest number.
So paper-based at 38%, web-based at 33%, 24% pre-arrival and orientation platform. Okay, and then should we go to question number 2?
Working on that for you.
Thanks.
Here we go. Ready.
How could a better pre-arrival experience benefit your university? And so this is a select all that apply. Oh, it looks like it's multiple choice.
And we had yet another in the chat, agency management. One person was using agency management, another agency management system called AMS. Give people another amount of time. Let Jay know when you want to close out that poll.
All right, so in other, Jessica says, focus on the important yet dry material online pre-arrival while giving more time for campus building during in-person orientation. I think that that's a great point. So what we've seen is that when you pair the pre-arrival platform with an in-person orientation, it really changes the dynamic of the in-person orientation, especially if the students have already been able to meet each other in that online platform. But yeah, if you're able to cover a lot of that material pre-arrival, a lot of the material that's required to cover, then that in-person orientation can really be much more dynamic, for sure. Okay, so let's close out the poll. All right, so ensure students and scholars know critical information is number 1. Number 2 is help students and scholars feel a part of the campus community. Number 3, with 57%, decrease your advising load, improve yield, reduce melt. And then lastly, increase first-year retention rates. With a few other in the chat. Oh, Sheena said one other in the chat, focus on more personalized, customized communication and informations. All right, perfect. Okay, so I'm gonna do a quick, I'll quickly go over the Homebase platform from the student side. I'll show what that looks like. And then Stephen will talk about his experience at the University of Utah. So essentially what we're doing is we're presenting a whole bunch of, we're presenting pre-arrival and orientation information throughout the platform. And some of it is community building, and some of it's more kind of the information that they need to know. So for example, maintaining your information about maintaining your status, or how to prepare for the visa interview, things like that. So this course has not been adjusted to a specific university, but you'll see that it's all white labeled to the university colors, the university logos, the university photos, so that it feels they're starting to get into the campus community. Starting off, oftentimes universities will start with like a welcome video. Oftentimes those are like a short 2-minute marketing video. And so we'll have a quick welcome page, and then introduce students to international services. But before I go there, so all of the content is highly configurable and editable, and the ISSS office is in charge of how this is displayed and what is displayed. So as the administrator, you can go and you can change any of this content. And the left menu, you can change these pages, you can delete them, you can add pages, you can change the order of the pages. So really you're empowered to manage the entire platform. And you don't need to know any code. It's all a really straightforward process, and we'll go into that a little bit later. But the way this one is laid out so far, they'll do some introduction, they'll provide some materials, some resources, and then we'll change all of this to be for UT Health, University of Texas Health, San Antonio, in a minute when we go to the admin side. But from a student perspective, this is what they're seeing. And one thing that we really love, that students seem to really love about the platform, is the opportunities that they have to interact with other students. And we can make that a requirement, we can make it optional, we can make these posts public to all students, or we can make these posts private, so they're just shared with advisors or peer mentors. But essentially what we do is we have a number of prompts throughout the platform, and as the administrator, you can decide which ones to include and how you might want to edit them or change the prompt. But they can post text. They can also post videos. If they're a little bit more shy, they might lean toward text. So you might notice some of these names, but yeah, you can either do video, and then students can go in, they can watch the video, and then they can go and reply. They can either reply through a video, through text, or submitting a file if you as an administrator are requesting a file. So really it creates that back and forth between students and peer mentors, or students and advisors, or student to student. And then we have other material, and so this is just another example. So all the components, all the material is all vertically stacked on top of each other. That means that when we transfer it over to a mobile, it all still looks very clean, and it's still a very straightforward linear experience. And so we have a bit of material in here that we've created. And so what we wanted to do is we wanted to make it as seamless and easy for universities to get started as possible. So we've provided a good amount of material, and you can go and you can change that however you want. But this is a video, it's a 4-minute video about maintaining your status. And then we can even go into quiz questions just to check their knowledge. So if they get it wrong, they have the opportunity to try again until they get it correct. And so this isn't really a quiz as much as it is a way of highlighting really important information that we want to make sure that they know. So as they work through, they can complete pages, and they can either complete them through just viewing them, through doing a submission, or doing a quiz question. And then once the entire course is complete, then they get a completion certificate. And the way that most universities are using that is they're having them submit the completion certificates. And that'll be a little bit of an overview, a couple highlights. So we wanted to.
Can I interject for a second? I can see your screen.
Go ahead, Tracy.
Is anyone else having difficulty seeing Moroni's screen? Looks like Sergio might have been.
Yeah, there was one person in the chat. It looks like possibly, Sergio, you might need to change your Zoom view. And sometimes I click on like Tracy's picture.
Okay.
Oh, okay, it's okay now. Okay, we're good. We don't want you to miss out.
And then one other quick question, Moroni. Oh, let's see. I just lost my chat. 1 second here. Can the language be something other than English? Can the site
Yes.
be different languages?
Really, yeah, really great question. You can put that content in. So you're able to adjust all of the titles. You're able to change all of this content, and then the header material. We have like 8 languages listed that you can use. So if it's one of those, then we can adjust to it, or if you need more, we can add to that. But no, that's a good question, but that's not one we've had recently. So thank you. I'll just quickly highlight one thing before throwing it over to Stephen. So this is a problem. So I've watched my siblings struggle to transition into a university, and that struggle doesn't just stop after the first semester. Those struggles can often continue throughout their experience. And I've watched international students also struggle to make that transition. And so for me, this is a problem that's kind of near and dear. And so we wanted to provide a platform that was used. And so we wanted to make that resolve those issues, but that also was easy for universities to adopt. And so we looked at, what would prevent a university from using this? So number one would be price. We worked really hard to figure out ways to make it free. And essentially what we've done is we've partnered with other established companies within the international student space to provide those as resources. So for example, we'll say, hey, when you're coming to the US, you're going to need a cell phone. Here are some things to consider. And here are some options. One option is Campus Sims. So we have these partners that we work with, and they're listed throughout the platform. And you can determine which ones you want to show and which ones you want to delete. But that's the way that we're able to make it free. And so we've worked hard to do that. The other thing is we know that life has been crazy for the last few years in ISSS offices. And so you have limited time. And so we've worked to remove as many barriers to implementation as we can. That's why we provide a kind of a default course that you just have to go in and edit a few pages. Or you can edit all of the pages. It's really up to you, but we wanted to really reduce the friction of being able to adopt it. And then sending it out to students is also a very straightforward process where they do the registration on their end. Okay, so I'll stop there and I'll turn it over to Stephen. And by the way, if you have questions, feel free to throw them into the chat at any point.
Okay, thanks, Moroni. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Let's see. Okay, can everybody see that?
Not yet. I can't.
Okay. So the decision for us to use Homebase, at the time we had a very limited pre-arrival guide. You're not seeing it?
No.
All right, now?
Yep, you're good.
Perfect.
Okay,
Yep.
sorry about that. So the decision for us to use Homebase, at the time we had a very limited pre-arrival guide, and for several years we had planned on like a manual, like a 15 to 25 page manual to cover both pre-arrival and orientation. I dreaded that because it was just going to be so much work that I just didn't have the time to do. And then when Homebase became an option, after looking at it, we just felt like it was a better option. And the timing for us was great because I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, we implemented this around the time when COVID just hit. So the more that we could do virtual, the more that we could do online, the better for us. We've found that it's very easy for scholars to access and log in to the platform. It was easy for us to build, program, and maintain. And I'll share my my presentation with you all and just go through it so you can look at the feel and the format of it. And I think just being free is pretty significant because for us, we're on a tight budget. The university does not fund our F4J program. It's all based on student fees. So anything like this, such a great product that's free, is pretty significant for us. So when we built the course, we started with the idea that we wanted to cover, and my course is for exchange visitors. So for anybody that's familiar with exchange visitors, you know that the Department of State requires certain information to be covered for both pre-arrival and orientation. So that's where we started, to cover just that basic information. And then we built it out from there. We can certainly cover things beyond the minimum requirements, but we started with that. And what we cover is what you can see on the screen. We gave a description of what an exchange visitor program is, the goals, objectives. We covered the visa application process, pre-arrival. Culture shock is something that the Department of State wants us to cover, so we paid attention to that. And then arrival to the U.S., what someone can expect when they arrive at an airport. And then maintaining status is so critical. We cover the basic because we also follow up the Homebase presentation with a one-on-one Zoom, but we wanted to give everyone an idea of how to, at least at some level, how to maintain your status. And then we go into more of the post-arrival information, life on campus, life in the US, and cultural exchange. So again, the way that I look at it is, if we would have gone with that 25-page manual, I just don't think that the scholars would go through it. And then they would be missing a lot of information. So that having a platform like this that's interactive and user-friendly, to me, allows them just to stick with it and just to go through it. So the goals, one was just to create an interactive space for pre-arrival and instruction, and we believe that we have accomplished that. We also want to provide exchange visitors with a resource that they can review, go at their own pace, allow them to take it in. It's something that they can review over and over and over again, and that's what we like. We certainly want to establish a connection between them and the institution, particularly for exchange visitors. I mean, it's a lot of our faculty and staff view exchange visitors as employees, but they're not. I mean, they're here for primarily cultural exchange and foreign diplomacy. Employment or employment-based activities is just a benefit of that. And with indefinite access, they can just familiarize themselves with all the relevant information in terms of maintaining their status. So for us, we feel like we've met the goals that we wanted to meet, and pretty excited about this product. So what I would like to do next is just to go through my presentation. Can everybody see that?
We're still on your
Are you
last
trying to
Still
show the
see.
platform?
Can you see my?
Yeah, we still see the slideshow.
Okay,
Maybe do a reshare.
let me see. Shoot.
Maybe stop sharing, because I think what probably happened is you probably shared the PowerPoint.
Yeah.
Maybe Yeah.
Okay, let me do that. Okay. How about now?
Yep. Perfect.
Yep.
Okay, all right, that was the trick. So that goes in.
One quick highlight, Stephen. I'll just say that, so Stephen, University of Utah is on an older version of the platform, and they're transitioning. So it's going to look different than what I just showed and what universities are using now. But so the styling is going to be different, but the whole flow and the content is the same.
So as I go through it, one of the first points that I wanted to make was that I am not an IT person. In fact, I'm quite the opposite, and just the whole screen share kind of proves that. With that being said, I built this whole profile. Moroni had given us a template that we could have used. They went to our website, they collected some information, and we had the option to add to it, edit, but we decided to start from scratch, and this is what this is. So honestly, if I can do it, I think most people can do it. So what I'll do is I'll just go through, let everyone get a look and feel for it as to how ours looks. So this is just the welcome page. We go through our mission and values. We do have some videos throughout, particularly for, and if you see these little avatars, they are actual avatars. They're images of our staff. So this is me and this is Cassandra. So we both are advised for the J program. I'll go through the visa process. So what we do is, we're just going through the document. So we're going to explain what the DS 2019 is. There's some different pages where, we can embed images. We have hyperlinks. So we can pretty much do everything that we want to do. Let's see. Right here, we're going through the fees. So, like this page is the visa application process. We want to simplify it as best we can, but we have an image of to the bottom right of what someone would see when they go to the visa application website. And then we have links to that actual page as well. This is a good page because you can see that we've made the use of accordion. It really comes in handy. It kind of makes the whole page a little bit more efficient when you can put so much information in this particular space. So that's something that we really like to use. And like on this particular page, we can upload the actual, this is for those of you that work with exchange visitors, you're familiar with the welcome brochure. So we can upload it and allow them to read it directly from this page.
And Stephen, we have a question in the chat. I was just
Sure.
going to share. They're wondering if this is a public URL or if only people from your university can log on and see this.
So what we do is when we issue a DS 2019, and it could be for someone that issues an I-20, we send them an email, and it's more of a pre-arrival email just to let them know that the document is on the way. And as part of that email, we ask them to, we describe this pre-arrival platform to them. We give the website. They have to select the University of Utah, but there's also a code number that they have to input that we give to them. So you do need to, not everyone is going to have access to this. Okay. So there, we're pretty, like I said, it's really easy to build. When I first started working on this, it looks a little bit intimidating because it's a lot of information. Not only are we covering pre-arrival information, but I'm also covering orientation. So I'm covering a lot of information in this. And it can be intimidating, but I just started one page at a time, and it actually became addictive. It's almost like reading a good book. I didn't want to walk away from it. When the end of the day came, I was kind of disappointed. This is a page where Campus Sims is advertised. And just I hope it's okay to mention this. We had a question of whether or not we could have something like Campus Sims on our orientation. So our Office of General Counsel met with us, and they said that as long as we're not specifically endorsing them, it's fine for us to have this on our particular orientation. So that's what allowed us to be able to do it.
Stephen, I've got a couple of questions here for you.
Sure.
First of all, how long did it take you to build the site? And then beyond that, when did you decide that the site was built sufficiently enough that it could be scholar facing or customer facing?
I would say if you have all the information, if you have all the content already, it could probably take maybe 1 or 2 weeks, just spending a few hours each day. And we did have most of the material. I pulled information from our website. I pulled it from our pre-arrival guide. I pulled it from some of the compliance packets that we have. Some of it I had to write from scratch, but like I said, if you have all the content and you have maybe 2 or 3 hours every day, you could probably do it in 1 or 2 weeks.
And then, Stephen, there's another question, and Tracy answered it in the chat, but I wanted to say it verbally. Can this be used for both F and J students?
That's a question from Moroni, but I would say yes.
So yes, that's a great question. It's kind of funny because half of our conversations end up with, well, we want to use this for another population. And so populations, like it's used for Fs and Js, it's used for scholars, it's used for IEP programs or H-1Bs. It's also used for domestic students at a few schools. And we even have Texas A&M using it to train their international office staff. So they're throwing, it's used for education abroad. So the platform is kind of agnostic to the content. So it really can be used for anybody. So yeah, definitely. And to quickly respond also to how long did it take to build? Sometimes we have people like Stephen who want to start from scratch and do their own thing. Most frequently, it's just adding content. And there are 10 pages that we provide, like a getting started packet. And it outlines the 10 pages that have university specific content that need to be edited. Those are quite brief. It's like links to specific, it's making sure that links are going to the correct place for the university, and adding the university name, things like that. But then beyond that, it really is, hey, how much do you want to customize it? And so I'm like a proponent of, perfect is the enemy of progress. And so, hey, let's just get started, and then we can continually add as we learn, as we go through the process, as students and scholars are on it.
Yeah, so I think that's an important point, Moroni. It is students and scholars. So the population that you would like to use it for, it's available. And I know there was another question in the chat about English Language Institute. Is it available for ELI students? That was from Deborah, College of Staten Island. And so, Moroni, I'm assuming the answer to that is that yes, you can use it for English Language Institute students as well.
Yes, and you can use it for multiple populations within one office. So I can show this process after Stephen finishes, but the registration process, you essentially would just input a program code, and then there would be a different code depending upon if it's F1s or J1s or other. And that's also a way of securing the content so that it's only being provided to the individuals that the university invites to see the content. But yeah, a university can have as many courses as they want.
Great. And then, oh, go ahead, Tracy.
Another quick question from Karen. Were the images created, like the notebooks on the Culture Shock page, or are those built into the platform and editable?
Yeah, those are all edited. Well, sorry, maybe I don't understand the question. So you can swap out the images for other images, but we do provide some default kind of stock images that you can use. And we also provide quite a few videos that you can choose whether or not you want to use. So videos on mental health for international students, or learn an overview. We worked with International Student Insurance, and they provide a video. They have a great video on understanding an overview of the U.S. healthcare system. So we provide all of that information, and then you can choose whether or not you want to use it. Sorry, Stephen.
Oh, no.
Did you have anything else you wanted to share? Go ahead.
Well, I believe that I'm close to being out of time, but I can show this last page, which is a good one to share, because it shows, like, on the left, we can, like, this particular avatar, this is the person that's created all these images. Like I said, these are staff in our office. So I was able to import the image. I like how it allows you to hug the text around the image. I mentioned it's really easy to make all these hyperlinks. And then, obviously we can upload videos. So, anything we can share like this is helpful.
5 national parks. First, Zion. You're walking. The ground rises. The ground drops.
So we really like it. The students and scholars like it. Like I said, it's once you get the hang of it, it's just like everything else. You need to play around with it, figure it out, but it wasn't that difficult. And once you can figure it out, then you can just hit the ground running and go from there. But, any questions for me, feel free to ask. But yeah, this was pretty fun to make and build.
Anna and Jessica, I completely agree. I love Utah. So it's a beautiful place to be. Zion is gorgeous. All the national parks here are gorgeous. Okay, so Stephen, is there anything else you wanted to share?
That's it.
Okay, so this is kind of the unveiling. I don't know how much of this Stephen has seen, but this is what their new platform looks like.
Moroni, quick question. The platform is visible in China behind the firewall, correct?
Yeah, so that's one big reason to use this is that we have a designated server within mainland China and a support team within mainland China. So there's this, and they're constantly syncing with our US IT infrastructure. So it's the same experience back and forth. But yeah, this is what it looks like in the new with the new format for the University of Utah. And I'm not going to go through too much because I want to make sure we have time for questions. Time for to go through the new builder. Okay, so the way that a university would edit this content, it really is you just click into it and you type. So for example, if you wanted to, if we're doing this for UT Health San Antonio, they've been using it for their scholars. Now they want to get going on their F1 students so they can start building. And so we have some, if they already have this content, so we'll throw a video in, we'll decide which tile we want to show when it's paused. Or before they play it, and then that will load for a little while. And over here on the left-hand menu, this is where you can delete pages, you can clone pages, you can reorder pages. You have total control here, and then you can start working through all of this content on this side. And these are some images and some content that they decided on. So yeah, if I'm doing this, I just start typing in typing this content in. And then coincidentally, that's actually the name of their office. So then I just would remove that. And then sometimes, depending on the size of the video, it might take a few minutes to complete. And then if I wanted to add in new we call them components. I would just vertically stack them, and I can either add them here by pressing the plus button, or I can add them at the bottom by pressing any of these. So if I want to look at my different options, I can add text options. So whether it's a paragraph with heading, subheading, I can add images. And this is kind of fun because it auto formats everything, so that it's hard to make it look bad, essentially. So you can do text on the image, and you can put like quotes or highlight important information. You can do an image with text next to it, and this is often how we'll do like introductions for staff. Will be this way. But yeah, then you can start editing those components. And then, so you can do multimedia, you can add videos, you can add attachments, you can add button stacks. You can add with like links to specific pages. So if you want to then check out off-campus housing, you can add accordions. So the way that you would edit this content with the accordion is you just would go in and, is everybody else seeing this yellow line? I don't know where that came from, but anyway. So I think that's a Zoom thing. So you would just go in and edit this content, and you can edit it here, or you can edit it in a side window. Anyway, I don't know if we want to go through all of the specific components. There's quiz questions. There's requiring them to spend a specific amount of time on a specific page. Yeah, and so if we look at this, so it automatically saves. And so if we go back to what it would look like from the student perspective, we can go click the home button and check that out. And it has all of those changes that we just made. All of that content is there. And anyway, so it's quite straightforward. And then we have a few individuals here on the team that can help universities get started. If they have any questions, we can help them make sure they're not getting stuck. And so, yeah, so it's, I know it's 11:44. If anybody has questions, feel free to ask questions. One thing we wanted to invite you to do is to go in and actually create an account. And then to go experience this demo course as a student would experience it. And then even if you want, you could join other ISSS individuals who have posted on here. You can kind of join the conversation, whether it's on this page or whether it's on other pages where we also prompt for where we also have the opportunity to post. So with the post, by the way, we'll have like we'll have posts around mental health, conversations around mental health. Really, it's any major area where international students or domestic students traditionally struggle. All right, so to create a okay, I think there are a few other questions. Okay, so Jessica says, what's the difference between a quiz and a knowledge check? A quiz is a series of questions, and they're all embedded in one experience on one page. A knowledge check is just like a one question. It's what I showed you. It's just kind of a one question thing that they do. A quiz comes out with a score, whereas a knowledge check, they can do that as many times as they want. Tanya, if we would like to proceed, what are the next steps? I'll send out an email to everybody who attended afterwards with the video and any other information, but just reach out to us, and then we will create your site. We'll essentially put up the template site. We'll put your branding on it, and you tell us what admin email you want to have on there, and then we'll throw it over to you, and then you can just get started. You edit it, and then when you're ready to send it to students, you notify us, and we'll add it to the registration page, and then it's ready to go. So the process is quite simple. Okay, so Mary, I'm a born skeptic. And I am concerned about my pitching this as a free platform, and then in 6 months having to go to the dean and say, oops, now there's a fee. free forever. So English 3 is like long-term committed to international education, and we're really working to provide value. And right now, we've traditionally done that through our English tests. So we have an assessment for J1s, and then we have an admissions assessment that's online for F1s. And we're long-term committed to the community, and so we don't want to do that. So yeah, the plan is to keep it free forever. And we can work with our partners to be able to do that. Jessica says, also, is my personal information collected from the students in the registration process? Is any personal information collected? I know our IT team would want to know more about how personal information is stored. So we have a privacy policy. We are GDPR compliant, but here's the registration page, and I'll just show you the information we collect. So it's really basic. So it's first name, last name, email, password, date of birth, gender, country of residence, native language. So to register, they would just select the university. They would input the program code that you send them. Or if you're within Synapsys, we're working on an integration, so they wouldn't have to go through this page. They would just automatically go into the platform. But they and we're working on a Teradata integration as well. But yeah, this is the information that they enter. So hopefully it's not too much. And we specify all of that within our privacy policy. And we don't save the data. We don't give it to anybody else. But yeah, this is all we get. I know there were other questions. Let me see the chat.
Moroni, do they send us their school's logo to get the template set up?
Yes, you can. Yes. So yeah, whatever the logo format that you think would look best here is what you would send us. Yeah. And
then Deborah at Staten Island has asked, how has our in-person check-in with the scholar changed with the pre-orientation?
Is that a question for Stephen?
I can answer that.
That's a great question for Stephen.
So the way we look at Homebase, it's just complements everything else we do. We still have the same check-in process. So we use Synapsys, and through Synapsys, there's a report your arrival e-form. So that hasn't changed. And why I say this complements it is because we do have some slides in this presentation that gives a little bit more information about the check-in process. So again, they go through the pre-arrival, and then they log into the e-form, and then they upload their documents. So that really hasn't changed.
So Moroni, for those schools that don't have a system to collect that check-in, I mean, is that pretty much, that's a separate functionality from this, and they would be just linking out to their instructions for how someone does their check-in with the office?
Sorry, Jody, can you say that one more time?
So Jody, I can answer that. I mean, the check-in process really needs to be separate from Homebase. I mean, the schools have to follow minimum requirements of the Department of State, and they have to collect certain information, including documents like a I-20 or DS 2019. So like Moroni said in the beginning, this is a way to present information. But as far as a check-in process, it would be separate from this.
Thank you, Stephen.
All right, so I'm going to put some information in the chat for if you want to go create an account and look through it, and to jump into this this demo account. You can just look through, or you can post, or you can just look through. All right, so that's the link. The link is in the chat for registering, and then you just select Homebase as the organization, and then you enter the program code that I provided. And that's just if you want to go check it out and play around. We probably don't have time to. The idea was that we were going to do it in the presentation, but I want to respect everybody's time. So, So yeah, just go do that on your own time. But this is essentially the template course that we'll send will be mostly this content. Any other questions or comments?
That's great, Moroni. This is amazing. And I just want to give a shout out to all those folks out there who are supporting the ISSS community, and giving back. And that's goes from Stephen, at Utah, all of our colleagues in ISSS just keep helping one another make it through. And with tech acceleration, trying to get ourselves to the point where we have the tools we need and have professional image and can provide the services without suffering, without cruel and unusual punishment, trying to get something done. And I didn't see other questions in the chat, but I just wanted to say that I just needed a minute or so here at the end, Moroni, so I can talk about other events that we're going to have for the future.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll just end by saying it's flexible, and the more universities are using, the more use cases they're finding for it. So for example, OPT. So we're extending not just from admittance through the first semester, but also like through the entire experience. And so a number of universities are using it to complete the OPT process for students. And there's actually kind of a signature component where they say, hey, I've read and understand the following. So the use cases, they're wide, they're broad, and we're really excited to be able to provide this. And I just thank you so much for taking the time and joining the webinar.
Yes, and thank you, Moroni, Tracy, Stephen. English 3 has just been an amazing partner for International Office Consulting, and just we're all trying to do what we can so the ISSS community advisors and staff can do their jobs. We are going to have some other events. IOC will be hosting some other encore from our conference, and the same way you heard about this one, out in ISSSers United, on Facebook or via email, LinkedIn. Keep watching for English 3 and International Office Consulting. We will be posting some additional encore and about our monthly Ask IOC events. And I really appreciate everyone coming out today. Hope you have a great week and take good care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, Tracy. Bye, Moroni. Bye, Stephen. Thank
Bye.
you so much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Jody.